Hi, everybody.
Hey.
My name is Brent Elam. I'm the artist for this month or this round of shows. Little bit about me. I'm a 28-year teaching veteran. I've been teaching art for a long time now. I teach down in Amanda Clear Creek, which is in Fairfield County. Small little county school. Before that, I was in Chillicothe, where I was born and raised there. I took over from my old art teacher, which was a real kind of. She wanted me to. That's the thing that was the best. It felt real good to take over and give back to my school. So my journey in art comes from a labor of love. What I want to do first, so I want to read you a little story. Has anybody ever read this book? If I get a little verklempt at the end, please, I may, because every time I read this, I do. So it's called The Dot by Peter H. Reynolds. Art class was over, but Vashti sat glued to her chair. Her paper was empty. Be like, we're in kindergarten again. Vashti's teacher leaned over a blank paper. Ah, a polar bear in a snowstorm, she said. Very funny, said Vashti. I can't draw. Her teacher smiled. Just make a mark and see where it takes you. Vashti grabbed a marker and gave the paper a good strong jab. There! Defiant. Her teacher picked up the paper and studied it carefully. She pushed the paper toward Vashti and quietly said, now sign it. Vashti thought for a moment. Well, maybe I can't draw, but I can sign my name. So, the next week when Vashti walked into art class, she was surprised to see what was hanging above her teacher's desk. It was the little dot she had drawn. Her dot all framed in swirly gold. I can make a dot better than that. She opened her never-before-used set of watercolors and set to work. Vashti painted and painted a red dot, a purple dot, a yellow dot, a blue dot. A blue mixed with yellow, she discovered could make a green dot. Vashti kept experimenting, lots of little dots and many colors. If I can make little dots, I can make big dots too. Vashti splashed her colors with a bigger brush on bigger paper to make bigger dots. Vashti even made a dot by not painting a dot. At the school art show a few weeks later, Vashti's many dots made quite a splash. There we go. Vashti noticed a little boy gazing up at her. You really are a great artist. I wish I could draw. This is where it gets me. I bet you can, said Vashti. Me, not me. I can't draw a straight line with a ruler. I've made it through this far. Wow. Vashti smiled. She handed the boy a blank sheet of paper. It said, show me. The boy's pencil shook as he drew his line. Vashti stared at the squiggle, the boy's squiggle, and then said, he said, It gets me because we all start somewhere. As artists, we start somewhere. And it's someone who believes in us. I'm sorry. I'm very passionate about this. And I give everything to my kids every day. And I get a lot from them too. What I really want to talk about is where we start as an artist. Where we start is when we're young and we draw and we paint and we look at things that we know. Everybody started somewhere. For me, it was a little boy growing up in the 70s and 80s, before a lot of technology. I was into comic books. I was into toys, cartoons. I started drawing cartoons and from comic books. It's where I learned how to teach myself how to draw. As long as I had paper, pen, markers, tape, string, I was a happy kid. And a few little action figures, because, you got to have your action figures with the string and boxes and stuff. So it's where I started. And I was lucky enough, I was raised by my grandparents, and they were very, very supportive. Anytime I needed something to make something, they were always there. So that's where I started. And when I got to school, my teacher, Mrs. Hunter, one of the biggest influences too, would always give me extra stuff to take home so I could make art to bring to her. And then when I got to high school, I had Mrs. Gray, who showed me everything too, and taught me everything I needed to know about art. One of the best things she ever taught me was when you make art, you want people to see it from different levels. You want to see it from 30 feet away, from 5 feet away, from 30 centimeters away. You want to give them something to look at every time they see, and you want them to see something new. And that's that's always in the back of my head when I'm making artwork. And that's what I do here. I've been doing this kind of artwork, for the past 13 years. I'm 53. I just turned 53. I've only been exhibiting art for probably 13 years now. Started when I was 40. And I had tons of paintings everywhere. And I just, in a small place like Chillicothe and in Fairfield County, there really wasn't a place to put my art. And I didn't know where. And I had because in smaller communities, you see a lot of very traditional art, whether it be portraiture, landscapes, and that's all fine and good, but I did not fit into that mold. That's not the art that I was making. That's not what I was about. So it was harder for me because people thought, well, that's too weird. So when I was 40, this is weird. I was looking on Craigslist of all places and found a gallery, 83 gallery that was down in Short North, and they were looking for artists to display. And I sent them an email, and they said, "Yeah, bring a couple pieces up." I brought one up, and they go, "Do you have more?" I'm like, "Well, yeah." And they go, "Can you bring a couple more up tomorrow?" I'm like, "Yeah." And that one time, that one step of me really looking started me on this journey. I still work with 83 from time to time, but it led me from there to another gallery. And then other people saw it. And then I went to another gallery, and led me to where I am now. So it's really a fun journey. And sometimes you don't know what's going to happen. Sometimes it's scary, but it's worth it. And you guys as artists, I think you just need to find a way, ask people, go look at stuff. Making art is all about your expression. It's your identity. It's what you identify with. It's what you like, what you see. Every time you see something in your life, if you're an artist, it usually influences what you do as an artist. I always tell my kids, they always say, "Oh, I really don't know what to do. I don't know what I should do." I go, look at some art. You need to get yourself inspired. It's hard to make something when you don't know what's out there. It's hard to know what can I do with my art when you don't know what other stuff is out there. I think some of the biggest inspirations I ever had, I remember my grandmother had a book. It was just a little poster book. It was of Van Gogh's paintings. And I can remember at like 10, 11, just constantly out in the sunroom, just looking through that book all the time. And I'd get to the end, and I'd look at it again. The colors, the textures, the swirls. I always loved it. And when I first started painting, I started using a lot of thicker impasto techniques, sort of like Van Gogh, because that's what I knew. I knew that thick color. I knew how to, I saw the pictures and I knew how to get that paint to mix. And in making art, you have to look at what you're doing and look at other things and be inspired. I think when you have artists that you like, you become those artists as well. I think you as an artist is sort of a math problem of different artists. It's you, okay, for example, my artwork, I was doing a little bit of thinking about what influenced my art. Modigliani, comic books, Doe's Green. And when I start thinking about all these different artists and adding them together, I get my style. And it's a really kind of a fun way to create you, because it's a sort of an homage to the other artists that have come before you. And I think I think it really helps that way. These are my pieces, and I'll talk to you a little bit about some of the pieces. This is Delirium Tremens. I also call it Pink Elephants on Parade. It's more about, I always like the idea of pink elephants, like in Fantasia. Do you guys remember Pink Elephants on Parade when he gets drunk and everything? I was thinking about that, and I really like the whole idea of that whole mid-century Fantasia vibe. So I tried to bring some of that mid-century design into it as well. The freeform cuts, that came out of necessity. I was bored one day and I really wanted to paint, but I didn't have any like nice square pieces. And I thought, well, I've got these two awkward pieces. How about if I cut them and just paste them together? I thought, well, damn, that works. And not very many, and I didn't know very many other people that did that. And I thought, well, I think I'm being really clever about this. Come to find out, I start getting into the Columbus art scene, and people like Kent Grossweiler and Ben Lamb are doing the exact same thing I'm doing, and excited me more and made me want to look at their artwork more and be friends with them. It's like, these guys get me. And I think we built a bond that way through using the same sort of thing. But my technique, I use a hardboard, and I jigsaw the characters out, jigsaw the backgrounds out, create a background using collage work. And the collage work usually tells a story of the character or the backdrop of everything. And then I have the tattoos. I usually use a lot of tattoos on the cutouts. The tattoos are sort of like, like emotional scars. Everybody has emotional scars that are inside. I just bring them to the surface as tattoos, and it tells how that character feels and what that character is actually about. And then I call myself a pop surrealist, lowbrow artist. I don't take a lot of things seriously. I'm sort of a smart ass. Exactly. I don't get as pissed off as you can because I just let it fly off, and I usually make art about stuff. So, and it's fun. And it has a little whimsy to it, and I love doing that. But that's sort of what this is about. It's about drinking and delirium tremens and the idea of hangovers, because they suck. I oftentimes do pop art or like popular characters in society, like I did Mario and Waluigi, Wario. That's Wario, not Waluigi. I'm getting all my characters mixed up. I'm planning on doing another. I did a Luigi. I need to do a Waluigi now. So Mario Brothers characters, and it's more about them, and he hates Mario, so it's all about how he hates Mario. This is about him loving Peach, and he's player one. He's not player two. He's player one. This is Werewolf of London. You guys have heard the Warren Zevon song, "Ooh, Werewolves of London." Yeah. It's about tiki bars. I enjoy the tiki culture, and I do a lot of tiki art. My son is really big in the tiki community, and I love to do some tiki art as well. And I thought this was kind of fun. It deals with werewolves, and it has all the tiki bars and tropical stuff that goes on in London at the time too. So he's got his little pina colada, and his hair is perfect. So yeah, got the Human Apocalypse. I'm a huge sci-fi nerd. Probably one of my favorite series of all time is Planet of the Apes. And I've done a few. If you look back there as well, there's another. George has a couple of my paintings. One of them is a Planet of the Apes painting back there that I did. I like to revisit and do different characters. And it was more about someone's having a bad day. It's more about the idea of, I see a de-evolution in society a lot of times, and it makes me crazy. And I feel like do people not realize they're causing their own doom and destruction? And I called this the Human Apocalypse because it's the physical extinction of the human race is one possibility. And I can see us slowly doing that and, bringing us to Planet of the Apes. So that's what that one's about. Down here, the little face jugs. As I told you, I am a teacher. When I came to my new school at Amanda Clear Creek, they had a ceramics program. I'm a 2D artist. I have never taught ceramics in my life. I grew up in a household where my grandparents were antique dealers, so I knew a lot about pottery. I just had not made a lot of pottery. If you gave me a wheel and some clay, I would fumble through that and be the worst at it. I am horrible at throwing clay on a wheel, but I can sculpt, and I'm a good hand builder. And I was looking at going through some books and talking with my grandparents and such about different types of ceramic art. And we found these face jugs. Face jugs came out of the South, came out of South Carolina, Georgia, and it came out of slave pottery. And they made these face jugs because when the slaves were brought over to America, they stopped off in like Haiti and the Dominican, and the predominant religion there was voodoo, and it really scared them to death. And they were afraid that the voodoo spirits were going to take the spirits of their dead. So they would put these ugly face jugs in the cemeteries to scare away evil spirits. But when they came to like South Carolina and Georgia, the slave owners saw saw all the face jugs in there, and they really liked the idea of the face jugs because they wanted them to keep their whiskey in, because at the time the kids would get in the wrong jugs, and they would tell the kids, if you get in the ugly jug, the man in the jug will get you. So yeah, I make a lot of face jugs. I love doing them. They're really kind of fun. I've got another one over here. They're fun little pieces. They're really fun to do. You can be expressive with them. And I think they play a lot into my paintings along with my painting and drawing as well. I try to give them the same sort of feel. This little piece over here is called Tiger Mask. I'm a huge wrestling fan. Love pro wrestling. I know that you say that's weird, it's fake. It's not fake, it's choreographed. Those are artists, I'm telling you. They are artists. Some of the best work comes out of pro wrestling. But yes, big, huge pro wrestling person. If any of you have seen shows around Columbus from Art Clash or the Artist Wrestling League, I'm a part of that as well. That if you get a chance, get on YouTube or Facebook, look that up, or Twitter or Instagram. You'll see some really weird stuff. It's usually me. So, like I said, I like sculpting a little bit too. I found these little Altoid tins, and I had been seeing people making like these little shadow box pieces out of them. I thought, oh, that looks like fun. So I've been doing some of these little shadow box characters as well that go along with the paintings. This one's a little shrunken head I did, go along with the tiki format. Big proponent. I have been politics. I do a lot of political work because I get frustrated with the system. I get frustrated with seeing what people will tolerate. In this election cycle, I'm terrified. The 2024 election, I'm really kind of terrified. And this is a little devil, and it's about the election. It says no matter what you'll get me. So it's relatively telling. Same thing with this. This was more about the 2024 election. It's election 2024. What a shit show. And that's sort of my whole opinion of what's going down. More along the lines of the political pieces. Putin and Ukraine. I'm just having a hard time dealing with how people are not seeing what's going on there. And there's a lot going on too. And if you notice back there's another political piece with Trump and Kim Jong-un that I did a long time. They're both little babies crying over a ball that looks like the earth. So, it's all about ego and power. And I just don't understand why we can't just do the best. This one is Disney After Dark. It's my take on Mickey and some of the big corporation dealings that go on with that. We've got another little tiki piece. It was Zombie Me. I love working with that whole genre. These pieces here with the cutout paper. I've been doing some of this stuff with the backgrounds and making this abstract expressionist collage type stuff. But I found an artist out of California named Carlos Ramirez, he was taking pen and ink drawings and cutting them out sort of like I do with my wood and putting them on different stuff. And it was very similar to what I was doing. It made me think, I do a lot of pen and inks and they're just sitting there in my sketchbook doing nothing. Why don't I cut them out and use some of these backgrounds? I can use some different material and play around. So I had a lot of extra mat board laying around. So I just started doing some collage work and doing the pen and inks on there. I started out by using just coffee over top of the pen and inks to give it the color so it's aged. Then I moved to doing some watercolor over top because I like the different colors as well. It was a fun little technique, and I really started enjoying it. So I did it with a lot of things. This is a bowling pin. This is a project I did with my high school art kids. Our local bowling alley gave us 100 bowling pins. I still have a crap ton of bowling pins. But I did a piece along with them, and it's called Kingpin. And I did the same sort of thing that I was doing with the cutout pen and inks, and it was really kind of fun. It's got little crowns on it. The crowns are meant to look like Jean-Michel Basquiat crowns. So really throwing another homage to artists that I enjoy. Let's see. Power of the Peanut. I really like doing pop icons. I've got a book of like all major trademark icons from the beginning of time till now. And I've always been interested with Mr. Peanut. So I did a whole thing about peanuts. And the most fun about some of these works are when I do stuff like this, I get to do a deep research dive into things, and you learn a lot of different stuff. And I started learning about, the politics of peanuts back in the day. It was really an oppressive type of thing. And Mr. Peanut was an oppressive dude. Oh man, there's southern field, from the sunny southern fields, and it's got like Mr. Peanut with a cane. It's an old advertisement, like poking some dude about some black guy about getting things going. I'm like, geez, this is horrible. So it's really weird what you see in that. It's got another little tiki piece that I did. I did a little shrunken head. I've been getting into doing some shrunken heads lately. They're really kind of interesting and fun. The whole process and the idea of them are kind of interesting. This is Social Media Clown. I think that's where we all are at some point in time. I think almost everybody in here has found themselves doom scrolling at one point or another. And I see a lot in schools of kids letting that rule their life, and they don't know the difference between reality and social media. And they get sucked into believing that that's reality, and it's not. And that's sort of what led me to do this. This is my work. What I'm mostly known for are the long necks with the little hole in it, and everybody in the hollow eyes. Everybody asks me, "What's that about?" The neck itself is more about the over-exaggerated musculature of the neck. If you really get like that little thing in there, and I got that from comic books. Growing up drawing comic books, Superman was always jacked, and he'd always have everything chiseled, and those muscles in the neck would have that little curve. I just over-exaggerated, and I liked it. The elongated I got from Emilio Modigliani. Love Modigliani. Same thing with the eyes. I think having the eyes in with my paintings detracts from the background and detracts from everything that's going around it. Can I do eyes? I love doing eyes. I do, I really do. But in the paintings, I don't do them because I think it's distracting. Was it Modigliani said, to paint someone's eyes is to truly know them. So that's a quote. Gotcha. But that's my work. Does anybody have any questions? Yes, sir.
So the background, is that all in ink?
The background?
Yeah.
No, it's collage work. I go in and I add washes of color over top. Then what I'll do is I usually have like a little, I have a process that I will outline each one of the pieces of collage with a specific color. And any ones that are sort of die cut or like shape specific, I'll do in a separate color to help enhance the color itself. And then I use like lines to create more, just a different texture and feel. I sort of stole that idea from Ed Paschke. If anybody has ever heard of Ed Paschke, he's still around, but his artwork he did paintings that were almost looked like digital glitches and computer simulated things, and it was awesome. And I liked the whole glitch idea that he had, so I sort of added that sort of glitch like you would see in a TV screen every once in a while. Does anybody else have anything?
Where do you start with? Where do you start? Like, I want to be inspired. I want to start a new art piece.
Up here.
Are you starting with the main character?
I usually am starting with the main character. I'm usually starting with the idea of the character, and I get that done. Okay, now what I want to do with the collage work, and then I can get on the computer and start researching imagery. That is so much fun. The research, I really think, is so much fun, and you learn so much about the characters that you thought you knew, and you go, oh God, I didn't know about this or this. And I'll oftentimes go in and find quotes too. I'll go in and start looking for quotes. I look for quotes about peanut butter or about elections or tiki stuff or Mickey Mouse, anything that is associated with that character. And I like throwing that in too, because I think when you start reading some of that stuff, it makes you think more.
Yeah. Things are never going to be the same between me and Mr. Peanut.
Quick little thing. A friend of mine from college, his family were part of the Planters family, and his family owns the original drawing of Mr. Peanut. Yeah.
Did you study art in college?
I did. I went to Ohio University, and I studied art. I started out in art therapy, ended up in art education, and what's weird is when you're in art education, you're sort of an ocean unto yourself, because you're never fully accepted by the education community because you're just that art dude. You're never really accepted into the art community because you're that art ed dude. You're not really into the art. You just want the education part. But I was full in on both. So I just did what I had to do and made art. And still making it.
Sounds like there's some lucky kids down there.
Well, I like to think so. I've got a lot of really good kids. And I've got a lot of really good kids that have made stuff for themselves. People at Homage, one of their main designers is a former student of mine. I've got a friend down in Chillicothe who owns his own graphic design company, apparel company. He does all the signage and stuff all around Chillicothe. He's a former student of mine. I have some that are painters and photographers and start their own little photography businesses on the side. So yeah, I'm really proud of my kids. I love my kids. If you ask my family, they'd say I really do. I keep in touch with as many as I possibly can. So, and that's what's fun too, is see who you've gotten over with, who you've touched, and how they move on, and if they keep up with stuff like this. You just have to foster that talent. Tell them to sign it every time.
Yeah, do you, in your own art, do you learn things from those kids that you work with?
You know what? Here's the funny thing. Funny you mentioned that. That we've got the summer coming up. I've got 2 weeks left of school. I find myself more inspired to do art when I am teaching than when I'm off in the summer. Because I think those kids, and I tell them this all the time, and I think they think I'm full of BS. But I tell them, you inspire me as much as I inspire you. You make it worth it. I always have a piece of artwork working in the classroom so I can show them that I'm not just talking the talk, I'm walking the walk. I try to get them, every year I have a show for them over in Big Fun so they can be artists, professional artists themselves, and they sell stuff and they're like, I can actually sell some of it? Yes, you can. Said it's not an automatic, but you have that ability. I try to give them opportunities as much as I possibly can. Anything else? Anybody else?
You take requests?
Oh, commissions? Oh, hell yeah, I do commissions. I have people ask all the time, I'd like one of X, Y, and Z. Can you do that? I'm like, sure thing. Could you do one of me? Absolutely. I did a commission this past year of some rapper I don't even know for a former student of mine. And I had to do all the research and I started listening to the music and was like, okay, now I get this cat. So it made it easier and it was fun for me to learn more about what they were interested in. So it's really kind of fun. Yeah. So yeah, I take requests.
What else you got going on? I know the answer to this question.
Oh, what else do I have going on? I've got this going on. Tonight I have I'm part of a group show at Aeon Tattoo in Dublin off of Sawmill Road on Sunbury Road. It's an inspiring women show. I know I'm not a woman, but I have a nice little piece like this that I did of the Venus of Willendorf. I love the Venus of Willendorf, one of my favorite sculptures of all time. If anybody doesn't know, it's one of the oldest sculptures known to mankind. And it's of sort of a Mother Venus figure. And they're known throughout ancient history, these Mother Ancient Venus figures as, like birth mothers. And they're meant to be about fertility and motherhood and such. So I've got a little sculpture. I've got sculptures of those at home, and yeah, I do little drawings of her all the time. So well, I'm going to put one into a big piece. So, well, it's not huge. It's 8 by 9 by 12 or something like that, but good enough. Anybody else? Well, if you have any questions, we'll be walking around here. If you want some more snacks, there's beverages over there. Come up, talk to me. We'll do good. Thank you, guys. Sorry for prying through the book. You missed it.